There was once a tourist named Michael, who traveled to a famous city that was filled with history monuments and beautiful fountains. The city square was especially popular because at its center stood a large fountain with clear water and statues carved in marble. People from all over the world came to see it. Many believed that tossing a coin into the fountain while making a wish would bring good luck. Michael had read about this tradition before his trip and decided that he could not leave the city. Without trying it, Michael walked into the square, carrying his camera and a pocket full of coins. The sunlight sparkled across the water of the fountain, and children laughed as they leaned over the edge, tossing their own coins with delight. Couples held hands making wishes together, while older travelers smiled quietly at the tradition. Michael felt excited. He thought this was his moment to join in. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a shiny coin, and held it up in the air. He closed his eyes for a second, thinking of his wish. He wished for adventure and happiness. Kissed the coin for good luck, just as he had seen in movies. Then he stepped back a little too far from the fountain, because he wanted to throw it dramatically. He raised his arm, and with all the energy of his excitement, he flung the coin forward, but his aim was terrible. The coin did not land in the water. Instead, it sailed high above the fountain mist completely and flew across the square with surprising speed. The little round coin spun in the sunlight, flashing like a tiny silver star until it struck something solid with a sharp ping. The coin bounced off the shiny helmet of a security guard who had been standing near the fountain watching the crowd. The guard jerked in surprise and clutched his helmet. Looking around angrily, people nearby gasped, and some covered their mouths, trying not to laugh. The coin fell to the ground at the guard's feet and rolled in a slow circle before stopping. The guard bent down, picked it up, and looked around with narrowed eyes until his gaze landed on Michael, who still had his arm frozen in the air from the throw. Michael, his face turned bright red. He wanted to disappear, but it was too late. The guard marched over to him, the coin clenched tightly in his fist. The crowd was already whispering, pointing, and chuckling. The guard stopped in front of Michael and said in a firm voice, "Sir, were you the one who threw this coin?" Michael stammered nervously. "Yes, sir. I was trying to toss it into the fountain. I did not mean to hit you." The guard stared at him for a long moment before sighing. He said, "Young man, the fountain is right there. You are supposed to step close and toss gently, not throw it like a baseball." Michael lowered his head, apologizing over and over. He explained that he was a tourist who only wanted to follow the tradition. The guard could see that Michael truly felt embarrassed and was not trying to cause trouble. People in the square began to laugh softly, not in a cruel way, but in a way that made the tension fade. Some of them clapped their hands, and a child shouted, "That was the funniest throw ever." The guard finally cracked a smile. Shaking his head, he handed the coin back to Michael and said, "Try again, but this time do it properly." Michael thanked him and walked carefully to the edge of the fountain. This time he held the coin gently in his hand. He leaned over and let it drop with a small splash into the water. The ripples spread outward in the sunlight, and he whispered his wish once again. He felt relieved as the crowd cheered lightly. Some people even patted him on the back, saying, "Nice recovery." The guard gave him a small nod and returned to his post, still shaking his head with amusement. Later that evening, Michael told his friends about what happened. They laughed so hard that tears rolled down their faces. He admitted that while it was embarrassing, it also made his trip unforgettable. He had learned a lesson about patience, about taking small actions carefully, and about not letting excitement push him into clumsy mistakes. In the days that followed, whenever Michael passed through the square, he noticed tourists laughing, pointing toward the fountain as they whispered the story of the man who tried to make a wish but instead hit a security guard. He had accidentally become part of the city. As local legends, his name was not known, but the funny tale of his mistake spread quickly and made people smile. Michael himself decided that the accident was not a disaster, but rather a memory. He realized that travel is not always about perfect moments. Sometimes the unexpected and even the embarrassing experiences are the ones that become the most cherished. Stories. When he finally left the city, he carried no shame, only laughter, and a story to tell for the rest of his life. And so the tourist who tried to toss a coin into the fountain but missed completely and hit a security guard discovered that even mistakes can bring joy to others, and that sometimes the best wishes are made, not with perfect throws, but with good humor and humility.